Imagine a lesbian Charles Dickens. Hi, welcome to Gunpowder, Fiction and Plot. I'm Scott, and today I'm going to be reviewing Sarah Waters' novel, Fingersmith. Before I start this novel, I just want to say that our last video uploaded said some things about J.K. Rowling's in a good light. It was filmed way back in March. I'm sure you can see from the editing, if you watched that video, there's lots of comments denouncing her, and that is the last positive thing we will say about that hateful turf. And personally, I was going to finish reading all of the little fantastic beasts and where to find them and all of that sort of stuff, and I won't be reading that anymore. But that's beside the point. I want to talk about this fantastic novel by Sarah Waters called Fingersmith. I read this for Pride Month. Trying to read a few more LGBTQIA novels for Pride Month. This is a historical fiction set in Victorian England. It revolves around four characters, essentially. The character of Sue, who is essentially the protagonist. She is the daughter of Mrs. Saxby, who is essentially a notorious criminal who raises babies in order to sell them. So baby trading, essentially. Maud, who is the daughter, or rather the niece of a gentleman who writes novels and stuff. We find out a bit more about that later on, and she is, a bit rich and a bit, sheltered. Then there is Gentleman. Gentleman is a friend of Mrs. Saxby and is a hardened criminal and helps out in all sorts of schemes. And finally there's Mrs. Saxby, who is the character here that you see the least of, but is actually the linchpin of the novel. Gentleman comes and sees Sue and Mrs. Saxby in London and comes up with a scam to take the inheritance away from Maud, this young rich girl. Essentially, Gentleman requires somebody to help him convince Maud that that she is in love with him, and he asks for Sue to come along and be Maud's lady in waiting. Sue comes along and helps Maud out. Of course, this is a Sarah Waters novel, and there is going to be a lesbian romance. So we're going to pick the two girls that are the same age, Sue and Maud, and they're going to fall in love a little bit. From there on, it just sort of goes nuts. I can't really tell you more of the storyline because it's twisty, it's turny, and it's all spoilers. It feels so Dickens-esque. You have these characters just like Dickens that, while they're really, really well formed, they're essentially best viewed two-dimensionally. Dickens's bad guys were never black and white bad, but they were always best viewed two-dimensionally as bad guys because you could really see how evil they were. And Sarah Waters is the same. The bad guys are super bad, and then you change perspectives and you're like, oh, maybe not. This is essentially a heist novel, a historical fiction, an LGBTIQA romance, and it's so much fun, and it's so gripping, and you just want to know what's going to happen next, and how are they going to get out of that scrape, and how's it going to end up, and will the romance, will they end up together, will they kill each other, what's going to happen? It's so good. I'm so happy to read it. I'm not going to tell you anything else about it. It's just a quick review. get out there and read it. It is lots of fun. Again, I read this for Pride Month. It's, you know, if you're looking for a good book to read that has gay representation in it, then I really do recommend Fingersmith. This is the first novel of Sarah Waters I have read, and I really do look forward to reading some of her others. Yeah. Anyway, happy reading. Bye.